I 32 male work as a logistics coordinator. My entire life is built around efficiency, planning, and contingencies. I've been with my fiancée for 3 years, and we've been engaged for 11 months. We were deep in the crunch time phase of wedding planning, which mostly consisted of me paying the invoices and her curating the vision. I didn't mind the financial split. I make a comfortable 6-figure salary, and she works part-time in marketing while trying to launch an influencer career that hasn't quite taken off. I wanted to support her dreams. I bought a house 6 months ago, solely in my name, mostly because her credit score was wrecked from student loans she conveniently forgot to pay for 2 years. That little detail about the deed becomes the most important piece of leverage I had. I walked in the front door around 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. My afternoon meeting had been canceled, and I wanted to surprise her with lunch from her favorite Thai place. The house was quiet, but I could hear voices drifting from the sunroom. It was my fiancée and her best friend. I paused in the hallway, smiling, holding the takeout bag, about to make my presence known, until I heard the tone of her voice. It wasn't the sweet, slightly high-pitched voice she uses with me. It was flat, bored, and ice-cold. I mean, yeah, he's stable, she was saying, clearly mid-rant. But God, looking at him is like looking at a lamp. I love him, sure, in a comfortable way, but I'm not attracted to him anymore. Haven't been for a year. My hand froze on the strap of my messenger bag. The silence from the friend was telling. She sounded uncomfortable. Then the friend asked, "So why stay? The wedding is in 2 months. That's huge." "Because I'm not stupid," my fiancé laughed. It was a cruel, calculating sound I'd never heard before. "I'm just waiting for the right time to leave. He's getting that massive retention bonus next month, and we still need to close on the venue. Once the wedding is paid for, and I have a bit more of a safety net, I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll induce a fight so I can play the victim. I just need the timing to be perfect." I stood there in the hallway. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel weak. I felt a sudden, terrifying clarity. It was like a switch flipped in my brain. The emotional boyfriend died instantly, and the logistics coordinator took over. Problem identified. Parasitic partner. Solution. Immediate excision. I walked into the sunroom. My steps were heavy enough to register this time. Both of them jumped. Her friend looked like she wanted to dissolve into the upholstery. My fiancée turned pale, her eyes darting to the door, then back to me, instantly putting on a mask of panic and sweetness. "Babe, you're home early," she squeaked, standing up to reach for me. I stepped back, putting the Thai food on the table. "I heard you." "Heard what?" "We were just talking about—" "The right time is now," I said. My voice was steady, almost monotone. "You don't have to wait for the bonus. You don't have to induce a fight. It's over." The room went dead silent. Her friend stood up, grabbing her purse, sensing the nuclear radiation in the air. "I'm going to go." "No, stay," I said, locking eyes with my fiancée. "You're her witness. I'm ending the engagement. The relationship is done. You have 30 minutes to pack a bag and get out of my house." The shock on my fiancé's face morphed instantly into indignation. The mask fell off completely. "Excuse me? You can't kick me out. I live here." "You are a guest," I corrected her. "You're not on the deed. You are not on the mortgage. You don't pay utilities. You have established residency, sure. So if you want to play hardball, I will file for a formal eviction tomorrow, which will destroy your ability to rent a decent apartment for the next 7 years. Or you can leave now and we handle this civilly." She stared at me, her mouth open. She wasn't used to this version of me. She was used to the guy who apologized when she forgot to put gas in the car. "I'm not going anywhere," she hissed, crossing her arms. "This is my home, too. And you're not ending things just because I vented to a friend. That's an invasion of privacy. If you try to make me leave, I'll scream. I'll tell everyone you dragged me out. Who do you think they'll believe? The crying bride or the angry man?" This was the first act of entitlement. She thought weaponizing her gender and the social stigma of domestic disputes would freeze me. She thought I would back down to save my reputation. I pulled my phone out of my pocket. "Go ahead, but before you do, You should remember that I installed the Wise cams in the living room and hallway last week to watch the dogs while I'm at work. It's recording cloud storage, audio and video. So if you want to stage a crime, make sure you give a strictly Oscar-worthy performance, because the judge is going to see the raw footage." Her face went from red to chalk white. She looked at the corner of the ceiling where the small white cube sat, blinking a blue light. She hadn't noticed it because she never pays attention to the maintenance of the house. "You're a psycho," she spat. "I'm a man who protects his assets," I said. "Pack." She stormed off to the bedroom. The friend looked at me, whispered a terrified, "I'm sorry," and bolted out the front door. I didn't follow my fiancée to the bedroom. I stayed in the living room and opened my banking app. I immediately froze my credit cards. I transferred the funds from our joint wedding savings account, which was 95% my contributions, into my personal savings. She came out 20 minutes later with 2 suitcases. She wasn't crying. She looked furious. "I'm taking the car," she demanded. The car was a leased Audi. "In my name." "No," I said. "You're taking an Uber. The car stays." "I need to get to my mother's." "Not my problem. You were waiting for the right time to leave, remember? I assumed you had a logistics plan for your exit strategy." She screamed then, a primal, frustrated sound of someone who realized the ATM had just eaten their card. She threw her house keys on the floor, pulled out her phone, and called a ride. Before she walked out, she turned to me, eyes full of venom. "You're going to regret this. You owe me. I gave you the best years of my life. You're going to pay for wasting my time." "Leave," I said. She slammed the door so hard the frame rattled. I thought that was it. I thought I had won. I sat down on the couch, adrenaline crashing, and stared at the wall. I was heartbroken, obviously. I loved her, but the disrespect I heard in her voice had cauterized the wound instantly. 2 hours later, my phone blew up. Not from her, from the police. "Sir, this is Officer Miller from the precinct. We have a report filed against you regarding a domestic disturbance. We need you to come down to the station, or we can come to you." She had gone straight to the station. She didn't claim I hit her. She knew about the cameras. She claimed I had illegal firearms in the house and had threatened to hunt her down. I stood in my living room, phone pressed to my ear, listening to Officer Miller. My blood ran cold. Illegal firearms? Hunting her down? I don't even own a gun. I'm a tech guy who plays pickleball on weekends. "Officer," I said, forcing my voice to remain calm, "I am unarmed. I am alone. My ex-fiancée left the property 2 hours ago. I have video surveillance of her departure and the entire interaction leading up to it. I will happily meet you at the front door with my hands visible." When the squad car pulled up, I was waiting on the porch. I let them search the house. Obviously, they found nothing but a depressed golden retriever and a half-packed wedding binder. I showed them the Wise cam footage on my iPad. They watched the breakup. They heard her threat about making me pay. They saw me standing 10 feet away from her the entire time. "She claimed you had a Glock in the nightstand," the officer said, looking annoyed not at me, but at the wasted paperwork. "I have a Kindle in the nightstand," I replied. They took a statement and left. But the red flag laws in my state are serious. Even though they didn't arrest me, the report was in the system. She was trying to swat me, essentially. This wasn't just a bad breakup anymore. She was trying to get me killed or jailed. The entitlement was escalating. The next morning, I received an email from a lawyer. She wasn't just coming for an apology. She was coming for equity. In my state, palimony, or support for unmarried partners, is extremely rare and hard to prove unless there was a specific written contract. We didn't have one. But her lawyer was claiming we had a verbal contract, where she sacrificed her career to manage our household, entitling her to half the home's equity and monthly support. She worked 25 hours a week at a boutique and spent the rest of the time scrolling TikTok. She didn't manage anything. I did the grocery shopping. I hired the cleaners. Then came the texts, hundreds of them. Not to me. I had blocked her, but to my family, my boss, and our mutual friends. He threw me out on the street with nothing. He's financially abusive. He's having a mental breakdown. My mother called me in tears. My boss asked for a quick Zoom chat to check on my well-being. She was scorching the earth. I needed to stop playing defense. It was time for the offensive. I hired the nastiest, most shark-like family law attorney in the city. Let's call him Saul. Saul looked at the verbal contract, demand letter, and literally laughed out loud. She wants equity in a house you bought 6 months ago. Did she contribute to the down payment? Saul asked. 0, I said. I have the bank trails. Did she pay the mortgage? She bought throw pillows once. Okay, Saul grinned. Here is what we're going to do. We aren't just going to defend. We're going to recover. Did you give her an engagement ring? Yes. It was $12,000. Conditional gift, Saul said, tapping his desk. In this state, if the marriage doesn't happen, the ring comes back, unless you call it off without cause. Did you have cause? She said she was using me for money and waiting to leave. I said, and I have it on tape. Beautiful. That's cause. We sue for the ring. What else? I told him about the wedding vendors. I had transferred $15,000 to her personal account over the last 3 months to pay the florist, the caterer, and the photographer. I need to check if she actually paid them. I realized I spent that afternoon calling vendors. The florist? No, we never received a deposit. We took the date off the calendar last week. The photographer? We spoke to her, but she never sent a check. She hadn't paid them. She had pocketed my $15,000. That wasn't a civil dispute anymore. That was theft by deception. I went back to Saul. She stole the money. She never paid the vendors. Saul's grin got wider. Okay, we're filing a civil suit for the return of the ring, the return of the misappropriated funds, and we are seeking damages for the defamation regarding the police report and the workplace harassment. We're going to bury her in paper. But she had one more dirty trick up her sleeve. 2 days later, I got served. Not with a lawsuit response, but with a temporary restraining order, TRO. She had gone to a different judge, cried her eyes out, omitted the part about the police finding nothing, and claimed she was fearful for her life because I was stalking her. I had left my house in 2 days. The TRO forced me to surrender any firearms, which I didn't have, and, crucial part, vacate the shared residence until the hearing. She used the law to kick me out of my own house, so she could move back in. I stood on my lawn as the sheriff explained I had 15 minutes to grab my essentials. I saw her car pull up down the street. She was waiting. She wanted the house. She wanted the victory lap. I grabbed my laptop, my hard drives, and my dog. As I walked to my car, she drove past, rolled down the window, and smirked. A full, teeth-baring smirk. Right time is now, huh? She yelled. I didn't say a word. I just got in my car and drove to a hotel. She thought she had won the house. She thought the TRO gave her squatter's rights. What she didn't know was that while I was packing, I didn't just grab my clothes. I grabbed the router, and I canceled the internet. And the electricity? The account is in my name. I called the power company from the hotel parking lot. Hi, I'm moving out effective immediately. Please cut service to the property. It was a petty move, but legal. I wasn't living there, so I wasn't obligated to provide utilities for a squatter. But the real revenge was going to happen in the courtroom. She had perjured herself to get that TRO. And in my state, proving perjury on a domestic violence affidavit carries a mandatory jail sentence, though it's rarely enforced. I was aiming for the credibility destruction. Living in a hotel with a golden retriever isn't ideal, but my rage kept me warm. The hearing for the permanent restraining order was set for 10 days later. Those were the longest 10 days of my life. During that time, she posted photos of herself in my living room, lit by candles since the power was out, with captions like, "Healing in my sanctuary and safe at last." Saul was vibrating with anticipation. She's digging a hole so deep she's going to hit magma, he told me. We subpoenaed her financial records. Since she was claiming financial dependence for her equity suit, she had to open her books. The discovery phase was a gold mine. We found the $15,000 I sent for vendors. It wasn't in a savings account. It had been funneled into a crypto wallet and partly used to pay off a credit card that charges for men's luxury watches and hotel stays in a city 3 hours away. There it was, the cheating. The friend had mentioned a guy, but the bank statements didn't lie. She wasn't just waiting to leave. She was funding her affair with my money. We walked into the family court. She was there with a lawyer who looked like he charged by the coupon. She was wearing no makeup, dressed modestly, playing the role of the battered woman perfectly. She sniffled when the judge entered. Her lawyer started. "Your Honor, my client is terrified. The defendant has shown erratic, controlling behavior. He threw her out without notice, threatened her, and has a history of emotional violence." The judge, a stern woman who looked like she tolerated zero nonsense, turned to Saul. "Counsel?" Saul stood up. "Your Honor, this is a complete fabrication designed to secure housing and leverage in a financial dispute. We have evidence that the plaintiff is not a victim, but an aggressor who is currently occupying the defendant's home under false pretenses. We would like to submit Exhibit A, video surveillance of the alleged violent breakup." Her lawyer objected. "Relevance." "It goes to credibility, Your Honor," Saul said smoothly. The judge allowed it. We played the video. The court watched me calmly break up with her. They heard her threats. They heard her say, "I'll scream. Who will they believe?" The atmosphere in the courtroom shifted instantly. The judge's face hardened. Then, Saul continued, "We would like to address the claim of financial abuse. We have bank records showing the plaintiff embezzled $15,000 of the defendant's money intended for wedding vendors." We handed over the stack of papers. The judge flipped through them. She looked at the credit card statements showing the hotel rooms and the watches. Ms. X's name, the judge said, peering over her glasses, "Did you use funds given to you for a wedding to buy gifts for a third party?" I needed comfort," she stammered. "He was neglecting me." "You were engaged," the judge snapped. And finally, Saul delivered the knockout punch. "We have the police report from the night of the breakup, where the plaintiff claimed the defendant had a firearm. The police search found nothing. This TRO is based on a perjured affidavit claiming fear of a weapon that does not exist." The judge looked at my ex. "Ma'am, do you have any evidence, any text messages, any photos, or any witnesses that corroborate your claim of violence or weapons?" She looked at her lawyer. He looked down at his notepad, realizing he'd been lied to by his own client. "No, Your Honor," she whispered. But I felt threatened. "Feelings are not facts," the judge said. She slammed the gavel. "The temporary restraining order is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, I am issuing an immediate vacate order. You have 24 hours to remove your belongings from the defendant's property. Any return to property after that time will be considered trespassing." "But I have nowhere to go," she wailed. "The house has no power." "You should have thought of that before you filed a false report." The judge said, "Mr. My name, you may move for attorney's fees." We walked out. She was sobbing in the hallway, her lawyer yelling at her for lying to him about the video. I walked past her. She grabbed my arm. "Please, I can't move back in with my mom. She hates me. Just give me a month." I looked at her hand on my arm. "Don't touch me." She recoiled. "I'm sorry about the money. I'll pay you back. Just don't sue me for the rest." "The lawsuit is already filed," I said. "The ring, the 15 grand, the legal fees. I'm taking it all. And I'm sending the transcript of this hearing to your employer." Her face dropped. "You wouldn't." "The right time," I said, "is now." The eviction was the most satisfying day of my life. I hired off-duty police officers to supervise it just to be safe. She dragged her boxes out to a U-Haul. She had to drive herself. The friend from beginning actually showed up to help her move, thinking I was the villain. But when I casually mentioned to the friend, loud enough for my ex to hear, that I found the receipts for the men's luxury watches bought with the wedding money, the friend's face dropped. She asked my ex if it was true. My ex couldn't deny it. The friend got back in her car and left my ex there alone with the U-Haul. The aftermath was brutal for her. We went forward with the civil suit. The law regarding the engagement ring was clear. It was a conditional gift. However, During the deposition, she admitted she had already pawned the ring for $4,000 to pay her initial legal retainer. Since she couldn't return the ring, the judge ordered her to pay the full appraised value of $12,000. The $15,000 judgment for the stolen vendor money was granted immediately, and because she had filed a frivolous TRO, the judge awarded me 100% of my legal fees. In total, she owed me roughly $45,000. She declared bankruptcy 3 months later. It ruined her credit score for nearly a decade. However, the bankruptcy court didn't discharge the debt related to the theft of the $15,000 because fraud isn't dischargeable in bankruptcy. She still owes me that money. Every time she gets a paycheck, I get a piece of it via garnishment. As for the social fallout, I didn't even have to send a transcript to her employer. The town is small enough. Word got out that she had tried to frame me with a fake gun charge. She lost her job at the boutique. The influencer career died instantly when I posted the security footage of her saying, "I'm just waiting for the right time to leave," on my own social media to clear my name. It went viral locally. The comments were merciless. She deleted her accounts. It's been 6 months. I sold the house. I couldn't live there anymore. The bad vibes were too strong. I made a solid profit and bought a smaller place with a great view and a heavy-duty security system. I learned that trust is good, but verification is better. I learned that people you love can wear masks so convincing that you don't see the monster underneath until they think you aren't watching. I'm still single. I'm focusing on my career, my dog, and rebuilding my savings. But I sleep like a baby knowing that somewhere in a cramped apartment, she is looking at her pay stub and seeing my name on the garnishment line. She wanted to leave when the timing was right for her financial gain. Instead, she left on my timeline, and she's literally paying for it.